just sitting down, enjoying 5 babies. They're just sitting there, actually sitting there, talking to one another. The children are really happy and content. They're engaged. There's stuff going on. So Karen and Amelia are talking to one another, talking to the children, laughing with them.
Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
All right. We are here with Lauren and Rosie. It's been a while, but it's good to be here. We're really talking through some of the cool stuff going on down at the Boulevard. I've been fortunate enough to go along, popping my head into staff meetings without taking up too much time and talking about things that I get passionate about. And I appreciate the Boulevard staff welcoming me into that space. But there are some exciting things going on. So we thought we'd start with... Let's just talk about your guys' relationship in that space and what you guys get to do, which I'm really proud of, which is a chance for people to work together and work with one another in those spaces. So every Tuesday, you guys have been digging into this stuff. Do you guys, Rosie, do you want to just start with what that looks like on the Tuesday for you and Lauren?
We've been doing it for a wee while now. It's really good to take that time out together. Just started as making sure that it was consistent, and through that we've been able to iron out some things on the side, but now we're starting to really dig into what's going on at the Boulevard and start to make a bit of change and impact in that space. So we definitely make that time every Tuesday afternoon. See, Lauren and I are quite often at the front desk. Sometimes we are either out on the floor or hiding in the back room or maybe visiting other spaces, but it's a real good time to connect and talk about what's going on.
I think the consistency is the real key, because actually that's a theme that we're talking to anyway in some of the space. But the consistency of the meeting, even for your role, Lauren, what's been the benefits for you in that space in terms of that work with Rosie?
I think for me that's why we're seeing that we're able to be where we are right now and be able to be implementing and creating some form of change and creating a high quality learning environment across all the 3 rooms because of that consistency, because we're both on the same page. And if we don't get through what we get through that first week, it's a week until we catch up again to then unpack and reflect for a start, and then unpack and figure out where we're going to next. Yeah. Sometimes that's what those conversations mean. We both get to the end of it and we're like, nah, that's actually not where we wanted it to go or what we were actually meaning, and then we both kind of reflect and then come back.
Do you think that when you guys are really, when you started to where you are at, I don't know, what are we at? 3 months, 6 months?
No, the evaluation's probably coming up between 6 and 9 months now.
Okay. So it's an extended period of time. So
Rose's been there a year.
Yes.
And it started pretty quickly after she got in there.
Yes. So in that phase of like when you're really unpacking some of that stuff, what are some of the, because you're talking about you get a week to go out and apply. You get a week to go out and apply. What's some of the questions you guys are asking yourself? Well, what's your point of review when you're like getting there? You're like, did that work? Did that not work? What are you saying to each other? How do you know?
I think often for me, it's checking in with Rosie if this is where she sees it's going to go.
Yes.
What is it that she wants?
Alignment
what is the
of
vision
vision
that she has for her centre?
Yep.
But also a question that I ask myself is about buy-in. Who's on board, who's not, who needs more support and who doesn't? Where are the each individual teachers and teams, so 2 separate, at in their learning journey to see where we need to get them. And if we're really honest, it actually started off as a whole centre trying to boost up the high quality learning environment with a couple of teachers looking into Reggio and a few other things. But it came quite apparent that actually our preschool space was the space that needed the attention quite quickly at the beginning. And then upon reflection, there was other areas that didn't need drastic action straight away, but still needed support. So then it was figuring out and adapting to what support each team and individual teacher needed to make sure that we were kind of collectively going in the same direction, but maybe on different pathways.
I think it's just really important, as Lauren's talking about, like that team buy-in, that everyone is on board, and it did come apparent to us that everyone is at different stages. And as much as we are working under, I guess, an umbrella of really looking at that high-quality environment, it is different for each space. We have had a bit of change in our Y team, so for them it has been really looking at their routines, their rituals, what's going on in the team culture, building that up, and then a different area for our kiddie space again. So I think when we get to those moments, like you're saying, we're coming back to, okay, where's everybody at, as much as it's that flow on. If we don't have them on board, and we need that to make the change and improve the practices that we want to, for the outcomes for our children.
So I think, sorry Ray, I think for us, when Rosie and I meet, we have a really big dreamer picture of what we want this to look like.
Yes.
Right, like we've got the blue sky, like we know what we want this to look like, and we've kind of brainstormed our role and how we're going to get the team there. And it's kind of a check-in each week to be like, hold on, where are we at with this? Actually, this was a priority last week, but actually we've unpacked that a little bit, and actually this has come up, so this needs to happen first, if that makes sense.
So around this, we've got a wee little brainstorm that we've got that we come back to, that we can pull apart and go, oh, okay, let's park that for a wee bit, let's come focus on here, or okay, yeah, let's park that, but hey, Lauren, are you around? Can you come in on Friday? Let's see if we can use that bit of quiet time to work alongside our team.
It's actually exciting, and it gives me a kick up the backside, really, because I haven't come in and sat in those meetings, and now I'm like, because this is actually the stuff that I'm like,
Yeah.
But in saying that, it's cool because you guys have arrived at this point, and the brainstorm thing is the cool thing, because you come back and you get to tick off and all these other things. You're like, oh, got that one wrong, or no, that wasn't entirely accurate, and oh wow, we can add something else.
Yeah, and I think that the whole process takes time. Like if we look
Yes.
at, we've visited a few centres up in Auckland. We actually planned on doing that towards the end of last year.
Yep.
And we actually only did it a month or so ago.
Yep.
So that, in terms of the planning, we talked about it back at the very beginning of the evaluation. We
Yes.
looked at implementing it in October, November last year, but we weren't, and the team wasn't there yet.
Yes.
So it was another reassessment to be like, hold on, actually, where
What
are we
steps-
at?
Yeah, what do we need to do
And
before
how do
we get there?
there?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's the real, when you're continually asking yourself those questions, where do we need to go? What do we need to do? Who do we need to bring with us? Those are the sorts of key questions that really continue to really focus in on what seems to be your real driver of a high quality environment. It allows you to have a greater focus on those outcomes. So let's talk to that, because you went up and saw went to Hobsonville and like Real Kids and these cool St Magic Garden and Montessori up there, and like I remember I was actually away, but remember ringing Rosie and were you in the car?
No, Eve was.
Eve was. I remember Eve was in the car. I remember ringing Rosie and things and having a yarn, and we spoke for close to 30 minutes, just having a wicked yarn about what was going on. And then you guys had a chance to kind of fill in the rest of the team. Just give us a few sentences about what really you pull out of it in those spaces.
I think for me, all three spaces were very different. If we're talking about where the Boulevard is at and where these three centres were at, Real Kids was, in my opinion, above the blue sky. Like it was insane, the environment that they had created, heavily inspired by Reggio. Very inquiry based. The image of the child was visible everywhere. Like it was amazing for us to see, and like for me in terms of my role, it was amazing to get those kind of different perspectives and viewpoints within that centre. But also, if I'm going to be really honest, it was a little bit disheartening, because it showed us how far we have to go to get to above the blue sky. So that was quite hard. The Montessori was very different because it was Montessori, but again, it was inspired by Montessori and Reggio.
Yeah. And just the spaces and the environments are so different to what we work with within the Boulevard, or even our other future focus centres, particularly at the Montessori Centre. So to be able to take what you see in those spaces, and I always talk about like you choose the fruit from the basket that you like, or what would really drive our space. So it's really hard to look at those things and, man, that's super cool. Like, okay, is that realistic?
Yes.
Or for Real Kids, that was that blue sky thinking, okay,
What can we take from this?
Yeah.
And I think when you're looking at, this is the real challenge in early learning, is that, and there's actually a great book called Blue Sky Thinking, and they talk about red seas, but in the blue sky thinking, actually it's talking about blue oceans and red oceans. And the blue oceans is thinking that no one is doing, right? It feels like it's, how do we achieve that? How do we get there? And unfortunately, there are not just in our sector, but in other sectors, there's just a lot of red seas, where everyone's involved and everyone's doing the same stuff. And what I'm proud about, it's good to go up and see someone and go, wow, far out. that seems so far away.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
Magic Garden, though, was a little bit of a breath of fresh air.
It was awesome.
It was realistic and achievable for us. The time that we got to spend at that centre and the interactions and the observations that we got to have and the conversation that we got to have afterwards.
We were pretty much there from a 9
Till
to
3-ish.
3 kind of day. So
Yeah.
it was real.
the thing is, I don't do realistic, but I think we do need to put those sorts of things in front of people.
Our teachers need realistic.
Yeah,
We can be the
Just
dreamers.
yeah,
Some.
yeah. It was just
Yes.
good to see, and it gave us clear steps on like, okay, we still really want that blue sky, above blue sky
Yeah,
thinking,
but they had practical steps for
to
us to
help
get
us get there, which
Yeah.
is really neat to
but
see.
but in that blue ocean where there's just an abundance, when we think through that, and we talked through this in the staff meeting the other night. Actually, the basis of how you've taken time to slow. Now I feel like it's been a winding spring. It's coiling down, and now it's ready to go. It is because of the consistency of your meetings and talking through what looks like in that. And we won't talk to it too much today about the high quality environment. I know we were going to talk to that, but because I know there's still a lot more to share in that space because really Tuesday we only really started to hear some of the people's thoughts on what this looks like in action. But when we do talk just briefly on high quality environments, what are just some of Magic Garden and Real Kids in that? Just give us a couple of clear examples that really exemplify to you, in your perspective, high quality environment that we potentially need to get to.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, going into the space, for lack of a better description, the feel, the calmness, the unhurried time, the uninterrupted free play, the relationships and the communication between the teachers, and the flow of the day, like it just worked. The children, my personal philosophy is uninterrupted free play. So going into all of those centres to see them playing and independently playing with and alongside others with sometimes no teacher interaction whatsoever, because they were very, very confident, competent, and it was very clear that the teachers saw them that way.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we really saw that competent children, right? And the teachers were really strong in knowing their role in that. And I think that some of that slowing down, the consistency that we saw over those spaces, and that kind of the clear expectations, which is sometimes known as rules or agreements, not just for children but staff, which is kind of where we've come back to start with as a first step.
It's exciting. I know the coil's turning. I think it's tightening into launch. I truly do believe that. Remember, I get to walk in, and when you talk about those things, and I guess I'm in disagreement about sometimes, because there are pockets of the day that I walk in and I feel it.
Those things.
Like I went into the Boulevard the other day just after lunch, and I actually said to Eve, hey, there's not many kids hanging in here. What are they up to? And I look out, and even though there was lots going on outside, it wasn't manic. Blood sugar, food, hiked. And then what I watched and observed was just a slow dribble of children just making their way back in. Marissa sitting down, bit of artwork, and lots of discussion going on. Brooklyn and them sitting there. Then, another child pops themselves in. And then, there's a placement of cars. And, I see that, it's cool for me because I hear all your discussion, passion, love, enthusiasm. Then I get to walk in and go, I'm like, oh, wow. Wow. I walked in, and Amelia and Karen are just sitting down enjoying 5 babies. They're just sitting there, actually sitting there, talking to one another. The children are really happy and content. They're engaged. There's stuff going on. So Karen and Amelia are talking to one another, talking to the children, laughing with them. That was really cool. That was really cool to just see that, seeing them do something, fall over, make something funny. Oh, wow. That's my privilege, is walking in, because I hear your guys' passion, but I get to walk in without the throes of the day. I just get to come in, which is just powerful, and see that. See that going on. So I know we've got way more to come in this space.
The reason why I think that you've noticed that over the last little bit is because as part of the meetings that Rosie and I have had and all of the data, I guess, that you'd say that we've collected over time, the research that we've done, the reflections that we've done, all of that, we've implemented two what we see as massive changes.
Yes. So talk to this.
But they're not. It's walking feet inside and quiet voices inside. And that's literally it. And we've introduced that with the team in terms of messages out, having conversations with them. Rosie's put up signage in the rooms, and then a message went out to all of our whānau to remind them that actually, no, these are our expectations inside, and this is actually a working space for our tamariki.
I'm not trying to stimulate them. I love it. I love it. I saw it. Rosie's post was beautiful, and I actually love the parents, the whānau's response to that, and thank you to them in that space.
We really appreciate
Yeah, we really
the
do
parent
appreciate
support
that parental support in there. The Boulevard whānau, awesome. Guys, I'm excited. We could probably go on for another 20 minutes, but we will cut it there, purely in the fact because I know there's way more to go. I appreciate your guys' work and having a yarn, but I look forward to the next chat. Awesome.
Thank you.
Queenslander!